Greetings to all class 9 students. In our last video, we have learned a truly beautiful mind, yes, about Albert Einstein and his genius, his scientific genius, his theory of relativity. Both the theories we have discussed in our last video. Now we have to take the chapter further from paragraph 14, right? I'm here on page number 49. Now these three paragraphs, number 14, 15 and 16, are very crucial for you to understand. There are some terms are there which you will need to understand it just to to enhancing your understanding. You have to understand its meaning properly and how they relate to Einstein's life. Okay, right, let's start with it. When the Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933, Einstein immigrated to the United States. Now, immigrated, that means when somebody leaves their own country, their own home country, in order to settle down permanently somewhere else in other country, right? Now, I tell you, till the Nazis came to power in 1933 at the end of the World War. But who was there till then? It was the Weimar Republic, who were Germany's government from 1919 to 1933. You see, that is exactly the period after World War I, till the rise of Nazis. Till when we talk about Nazis, whose name come before us? Exactly, Adolf Hitler. So till he came into power, it was the Weimar Republic. They were there ruling as a ruling government in the what we call German Republic, right? Now, why till then Einstein could pursue his scientific experiments, his scientific career, and not as soon as the Nazis came to power? There is an interesting story behind this which I want to tell you. Let me share this, what was published and how Einstein could not get well with Nazis. There is a reason behind it. See, in December 1932, Einstein decided to leave Germany forever. That means he would never go back in Germany again. It became obvious to Einstein that his life was in danger. A Nazi organization published a magazine with Einstein's picture and the caption, "Not yet hanged," on the cover, as you can see on the screen. There was even a price on his head. Yes, there was even a price on his head. And so great was the threat that Einstein split with his pacifist friends and said that it was justified to defend yourself with arms against Nazi aggression. Yes, and he actually renounced his German citizenship and accepted Americans. And he permanently settled down in America. Right. So just think what he must have gone through, that he had to decide to leave his own home country and shelter and refuge somewhere else. Right. 5 years later, the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin had American physicists in an uproar. Right. In an uproar, that means very upset. After 5 years, he left. The Germans discovered the process of nuclear fission. You see, the process through which nuclear bombs or atomic bombs are made. And how did they do it? They did it using E is equal to mc square. This process was prepared in Berlin. In fact, it was a project. This project was held in 1938 to 1939 in Berlin, which is known as the Manhattan Project. It is not mentioned here, but I'll just give you this background information. And due to this, all the physicists in America were quite upset because they feared, they were nervous that what happens if Germans who were manufacturing the atomic bombs and they would use it, let me say, they would misuse it against the world. So they feared inside. While Einstein was there in America, he already left Germany. Germans did it on his back. They started it, right? Okay. Now, paragraph, sorry, a few lines are left. Yes, yes. Right. Many of them had fled from fascism, just as Einstein had. And now they were afraid the Nazis could build and use an atomic bomb. All right, I talked about it already, but this term, fascism, you have to understand. Before we talk about fascism, we have to understand what is the dictatorship. You see, who is a dictator? The dictator is the one, a ruler, with total power over a country in his sole hand. You see, especially when the ruler has obtained this power by force. Now think, was Adolf Hitler a dictator? Yes, he was purely a dictator. Right. There is another term given in this paragraph is fascism. You see, fascism is a dictatorial concept, you see, that gave drastic rise to political powers which dominated many parts of Europe, especially in Germany, by Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini, who came to power in Italy at the end of the World War. Yes, and that happened sometimes during 1938 when Einstein thought that his scientific career, and he could not really pursue it. He could not do any more work being in Germany. That is when he decided to leave, because I shared just now a picture what was given in the magazine. You see, Nazis summoned him to be assassinated, and all the assassins will be publicly honored. See, it was written there in the poster. Go back to the poster and you can read it. So he actually feared his life also, perhaps, so he left Germany and he continued with his scientific inventions remaining there in America. Right? Okay. Now let's see what happened with Americans while Germans were busy manufacturing atom bombs to destruct the world. Right. Number 15. I'm here again on page number 50. Right. At the urging of a colleague, Einstein wrote a letter to the American president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, on 2nd of August 1939, in which he warned, what did he say? A single bomb of this type exploded in a port, if exploded in a port, might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory also, not only the port but the surroundings also. You see, so it speaks of the intensity, the loudness of such atomic weapon. You see, Albert Einstein, he was requested by one of his colleagues, and therefore he thought of writing a letter. See, the reason why he wrote this letter was because he wanted to draw the president's attention that how much destruction such atomic weapon can cause and what could be the loss of humanity then. It would be unimaginable, beyond one's imagination, right? He warned him that the atomic bomb which was developed by Germany, it was very powerful. If one of these bombs exploded on any port, let's say for an example, it would not only destroy that area but also would destroy the surrounding territory. Now see, this speaks of why would he was no more German. He was there in America. But why would he still do this? Because it speaks of him writing a letter to draw the American president's attention toward the after effects of the explosion of this bomb. It shows that he, apart from being a scientific man, he had this humanitarian factor in his personality. He was more human, you see. He could not think of the loss of humanity, the property, lives. So what did he do? He tried his best because he was a public figure. He already had become famous. People knew about his achievements and what he had given to mankind. You see, that's why he did his job. Whatever he could do, he did at his level. He wrote his concern to the President of America and he warned him. But, see what is written. His words did not fail to have his effects. Right? Whatever he had a point in his letter, and it really showed its effect. How? The Americans developed, please underline this, the Americans also developed the atomic bomb in a secret project of their own and dropped it, not only making, but dropped it on the Japanese cities Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. So go back to the year 1939. They were warned by Einstein, and by 1945, that is 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 45, within next 5 years, they have already manufactured, not only that, they used it against the humanity. And we know what is the story of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Till today, till the date, those children who are born, they are born with defects and deformities in the chromosome. After years, after years of 71 years of, or more than 70 years, 71 years perhaps, children are still born with deformities. That is the effect of using an atomic bomb on humanity. And that is why Einstein had warned. You see, that is why people think that people still hold Einstein responsible for giving E is equal to mc square. As much it was, a contribution, it actually also proved to be, more disastrous, destructive. Right. Einstein was deeply shaken by the extent of this destruction. This time he wrote a public missive to the United Nations. Right. Missive here is a letter, especially a long official letter. He wrote to UNO, that is United Nations Organization. What did he propose in his letter? Let's see. In it he proposed the formation of a world government. Unlike the letter to Roosevelt, this one made no impact. See, he suggested that there must be a government that can govern the world. See, each country has its own government that is ruling in the country or in the continent. But there should be a government that can rule the world. There should be a common government that has to be formed, which can stop the countries using such atomic weapons. But this time the letter did not have any effect. It has not been so fruitful, you see. But over the next decade, Einstein got more involved in politics, agitating for an end to the arms build-up and using his popularity to campaign for peace and democracy. These 3 lines are very, very, very important. You can underline it because it speaks of what makes him actually a truly beautiful-minded person. It speaks of him, I'm reminding it again and again through this video, that it was not only a scientific prodigy, it was not only a scientific minded who pursued his interest in math and physics all his life and gave the contribution in the form of E is equal to mc square to mankind, but also he was more human. He thought of humanity. See, what makes him more genius is not only his scientific achievement, but he thought for the good of humans, the mankind. He could have utilized him being a public figure, his, him being a celebrity, him being a famous person on this earth. Then he could have made a lot of money. This lucrative offer stood by him, but he denied. Because he always favored, he solicited, he always promoted the universal brotherhood, not the world destruction just to make money or to show the supremacy of one country over other. He did not use his talent like this. Right? In fact, he was so concerned when he came to know that Germans in secret were misusing actually E is equal to mc square. So what did Americans did? What did they do? They did the same. They also in secret formed. Not only formed, but they dropped it. Right? Okay. So after this thing had happened, at least for 10 years, Albert Einstein, he was more involved into, politics. Apart from him being a scientist, he was more into, politics. But not to make money and use his agenda, put it on to other countries. But he always promoted one thing. See, it is written down. He did not want countries to collect arms. How did Germany collect arms? By in secret manufacturing atom bombs and developing weapons. So he was against it. He in fact ran a campaign for the world peace and the world democracy. His main goal was the freedom of people. You see, he wanted people to understand that we should stop involving into collecting of arms, because the moment you start manufacturing it, collecting it, even if you want to keep them standby, when the wars are waged, you are very much likely to use it. So why to make something which you should not use? This was the agenda of this campaign. Right. And the last one. When Einstein died in 1955 at the age of 76, he was celebrated as a visionary and a world citizen as much as a scientific genius. So your answer lies here. What makes him a truly beautiful minded person and what makes him truly a genius is the first thing, his scientific genius, and what makes him a world citizen, a global citizen, is his wish to bring the world together, not to destruct. His wish to promote world peace and world harmony and world democracy. That is what make him, stand in a unique manner than others. Right. So what is the takeaway for us from this chapter? That is, what we have learned from it is, a scientist's life can be genius in which way? Who is a genius? Genius is the one who's somebody who's exceptionally talented, intelligent, and also someone who can exert a powerful influence over another, but for good, not for evil. Okay. And Einstein had this scientific talent which he could utilize in making money, making his fortune. He stood all these chances to make his fortune using his intellect in science. He was already made a public figure when he invented. In fact, he experimented and proved his theory of relativity. He knew how to make an atomic bombs to destroy the world before anyone knew it, using E is equal to mc square. which says more mass gives more energy. Yes, but he was mentally devastated when he heard about the destruction caused by Americans during the war. He was shaken to the extent that he wrote a letter to form a world government. Now, this thing makes him, more genius, that he did not use his unique scientific talent to cause destruction in the world, but he gave this formula to the mankind to be used positively. Yes, that's true. I mean, see, what we can say, he was genius in two ways. His scientific genius, for E is equal to mc square, and him being genius, a genius human who used his intellect and power to bring the world together. This is what is making him a beautiful minded person and not an evil minded person. You see, someone who was a failure at school was in fact a high achiever and talented. He came out to be a prodigy, a child prodigy. Perhaps he was a late speaker, but he was a prodigy in himself, who had strong scientific interest. It is not found in, many people. So looking at his life, we can say that a beautiful mind not only possesses creative ideas, but also makes some sincere efforts like a true nationalist to use his ideas for the well-being of mankind, you see, to promote the humanity. In his opinion, the usage of science should be to promote the global harmony and brotherhood, universal brotherhood. Science should be used in a positive manner because science has both its pros and cons. It should not be used to destruct people, to destruct the humanity. And he was a true humanitarian as he solicited the world peace and non-violence. And that is why the title of this chapter is A Truly Beautiful Mind. And it makes him the world citizen, the global citizen, not only the German citizen or American. He became a global figure, right? So this is where we are ending this chapter. Now let's quickly go through the question answers. Okay, now on page number 50, you are given thinking about the text wherein you are asked to find, the theme is given to you. You will have to find the paragraph number. Now once the chapter is over, this you can do at your end when you are free. One example has been done. For an example, Einstein's equation. Yes, this equation E is equal to mc square is given in or mentioned in paragraph number 9. Now you need to find out Einstein meets his future wife. Where is this? Where is the mention of it? Where do you find this reference? It is there in paragraph number 7, right? So please work out all of it at your end. It is not important for you to write them in your CW, but you should do this answers in the book itself, right? Let's go to question number 2. What does it say? Who had these opinions about Einstein? He was Brother Boring. Who called him Brother Boring? His playmates, his classmates at school. He was stupid and would never succeed in life. Okay, this was claimed by his headmaster in the school, if you remember. Yes, and he was a freak. I had explained the meaning of the word, the term freak. This was claimed by the mother herself because she did not know that there lies a child prodigy in my kid. Yes, she could not understand, but she could have understood it little later in life. Right, number 3, explain what the reasons for the following are. Okay. Why did Einstein leave the school in Munich for good? Well, he left because he could not tolerate the code of discipline, the code of conduct, and the strict regimentation at this school in Germany. Right? So he left it for good. That means he left it because he wanted some betterment for himself. Second, Einstein wanting to study in Switzerland rather than in Munich. Yes, because the other school in Switzerland was a bit flexible and he could, perhaps there the students' opinion also mattered as much as the teachers, right? Therefore, he opted to study in Switzerland, leaving Munich school forever. Einstein seeing in Mileva and Ellie, his assistant, somebody who is a comrade, right? Because like him, Mileva was also, disapproved of those Philistines. Who are the Philistines? Those who disliked art, literature, and music. So all these art subjects who did not like, they were not liked by Mileva and Einstein. So that means both Mileva and Einstein liked the art subjects. Apart from more interested in science and math, they were also interested in other subjects like literature, music, art. That's a good thing, you see. In music, yes, because Einstein was a very good violinist, like the mother. In fact, the mother wanted him to be a professional violinist, right? Okay. Another one is, what do these tell you about Einstein? See, it speaks about his personality attribute. It says that Einstein had his own terms to live on. He wanted to pursue his freedom also. He was looking for a very flexible yet very, cultured environment for himself where he could pursue his scientific interest and where he could do what he actually wanted to do. So it speaks of one of his personality, one of his characteristic. This you can write down when you have to write his character sketch. Right, number 4 says, what did Einstein call his desk drawer at the patent office? Well, he called his desk the Bureau of Theoretical Physics because he always worked his, secret papers, his ideas in that patent office on that particular desk. Number 5, why did Einstein write a letter to Franklin Roosevelt? Well, he feared that the Germans under the rule of Nazis had developed these atomic bombs in his absence and they are more likely to misuse it. So just to draw his kind attention, I mean the American president's attention, he wrote a letter, an official letter to warn him. Okay, next one says, how did Einstein react to the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Okay, well, it is written down in the chapter that he was deeply shaken by the disaster. He was deeply shaken because he knew the after effects of it. He knew the destruction, the amount of destruction which was likely to be caused, and it was caused in Hiroshima and Nagasaki by Americans when they dropped a fat boy on these two cities. So what did he do? He wrote a public missive to the United Nations asking or proposing them to form the world government so that the development of such nuclear weapons can be stopped and people stop indulging themselves into manufacturing of such destructive weapons. And the last one says, why does the world remember Einstein as a world citizen? We talked about it already. Einstein was a world citizen because of his sincere efforts to bring the world together and to promote the world brotherhood, the universal peace, and his promoting non-violence. Right? So this is what makes him truly a beautiful minded person and truly a genius. Right. With this, I'm ending this video. If you have still any questions, you can always ask during the live sessions. I want you all to keep learning then.